The storm had come down from the mountains like an angry spirit, swelling the river until it tore at its own banks. The lone cowboy had been riding hard, head lowered against the rain. When he heard it, a faint cry swallowed by thunder. He reined in his horse and scanned the churning water just in time to see a woman's body slam against a half-submerged log before vanishing beneath the surface. Her dark hair flashed once, then disappeared as the current dragged her downstream. He didn't think. He swung off his horse, boots sinking into mud, and ran. The river was ice-cold, stealing his breath the moment he plunged in. The current fought him like a living thing, pulling at his legs, spinning him sideways, but he pushed through, diving where he had last seen her. His fingers brushed cloth, then skin. He hooked an arm around her waist and kicked with everything he had, lungs burning, vision blurring, until his boots scraped stone and he collapsed onto the shore. She lay still, too still. Rain streaked her face, mixing with river water, her lips already turning blue. He pressed his ear to her chest. Nothing. Panic hit him harder than the river had. He had buried men before. He refused to bury her. He placed his hands on her chest and began compressions, counting under his breath, forcing calm into shaking hands. Water gurgled in her throat, but her body did not respond. He tilted her head and breathed into her mouth, tasting river and blood and rain, again and again. Each second felt stolen from time itself. His arms ached, his heart hammered, doubt clawing at him, whispering that he was too late. Then she shuddered. A weak cough broke free, followed by a harsh gasp as water spilled from her mouth. He nearly laughed from relief as he rolled her onto her side, rubbing warmth back into her cold skin. She was alive, against all odds alive. Only then did he notice the markings on her arms, dark, deliberate symbols etched into her skin. Speaking of tribe and tradition, an Apache woman. As thunder rolled overhead and the storm began to ease, the cowboy sat back, unaware that by sharing his breath with hers, he had crossed a line older than the land itself, and nothing in his life would ever be simple again. When the woman finally opened her eyes, the first thing she did was reach for a weapon that was no longer there. Her fingers curled into empty air, and her body tensed as if ready to strike despite its weakness. The cowboy stepped back at once, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. Her gaze locked onto him, dark, sharp, and filled with confusion rather than fear. Rain still clung to her hair and her breath came uneven, each inhale sounding like it carried pain with it. He spoke slowly, choosing his words with care, explaining how the river had taken her, how he had pulled her out, how she had not been breathing. She listened without interrupting, her eyes never leaving his face. When he finished, silence stretched between them, heavy and unsettling. She sat up with effort, pressing a hand to her chest, as if feeling for something deeper than her heartbeat. "You shared breath with me," she said at last, her voice low but steady. The way she said it made his stomach tighten. He tried to brush it off, telling her it was the only way to save her life. Among his people, it was nothing more than a desperate act to keep someone from dying. But her expression didn't change. If anything, it grew more serious. Before he could ask what she meant, the air around them shifted. He sensed movement before he saw it, shadows between the trees, the soft sound of hooves and boots on wet earth. Apache warriors emerged from the forest, rifles and bows trained, eyes alert. The cowboy felt the familiar prickle of danger crawl up his spine, yet no one fired. The woman spoke quickly in her language, her tone firm, almost commanding. The warriors studied him closely, not with hatred, but with a kind of measured interest that unsettled him more than anger would have. They helped the woman to her feet, supporting her as if she were someone of great importance. One of the elders stepped forward, his gaze heavy with understanding. He looked at the cowboy and nodded once, as if acknowledging a fact already decided. The cowboy realized then that he wasn't being treated as a trespasser or an enemy. He was being judged. Whatever he had done by saving her life had placed him somewhere he had never intended to stand. As they led him toward their camp, the weight of unseen rules and ancient customs settled over him, and he knew the river had not finished testing him yet. By the time they reached the camp, the cowboy's muscles ached, his clothes clinging to him like a second skin, and his mind raced with questions he had no right to ask. The Apache camp was alive with movement, yet it carried a quiet authority, each hut and fire arranged with precision. each member of the tribe carrying themselves with a disciplined grace. The woman he had saved walked ahead of him, her posture straight despite the ordeal, her eyes forward and unflinching. The warriors who had surrounded them earlier now fell back, their eyes never leaving him, their silence a constant reminder that he was under scrutiny. An elder, older than the tallest pine he had seen, stepped forward. His eyes were sharp, almost piercing, but not unkind. The cowboy tried to explain again, to assure them that he had only acted to save a life. But the elder shook his head slowly. Words, the elder seemed to say, could not undo the laws written in the tribe's heart and memory. The cowboy realized that he was not merely being judged for his actions in the river. He was being measured against customs and responsibilities he had never known existed. To touch another person's breath, to force life into someone teetering on the edge, was a bond no one could simply walk away from. The woman he had saved turned to him, her gaze steady and unyielding. "So you gave me life," she said, her voice quiet but commanding. "That life is no longer yours to take lightly." Her words sank deep into him, and he understood in that moment that saving her had not been an act of simple heroism. It was a covenant. She was not only the daughter of a respected elder, but a guardian of traditions that had endured centuries. To protect her now was to protect the tribe's future. To fail her was unthinkable. The cowboy felt the weight of the decision pressing on his shoulders. He had come into their world as a stranger, thinking only of survival and the river's danger. Now he was tied to it in ways he could not have imagined. The night fell, and the campfires burned bright, casting flickering shadows across faces carved by experience and heritage. The woman sat beside him, and though neither spoke, the silence was filled with understanding. He knew there would be trials, lessons, and responsibilities ahead. Life had been given, and with it came consequences he could not escape. As the stars appeared above the mountains, cold and distant, the cowboy realized the truth. The river had taken him to this moment. But the real journey, the one of loyalty, honor, and consequences, had only just begun. His choice was clear, though daunting. He could walk away, but the bond he had created could not be broken. He had saved a life, and now he would live with the cost of that decision. Every breath reminding him that some actions, no matter how noble, come with a price.